This is a continuation of the explanation of how to interpret an analysis, a 2x2 between subjects ANOVA from SPSS. This is also a part of the chapter 14 lecture notes. This is part 4 for the lecture. So, picking up where we left off in the last video, I told you about how in this first hypothesis we're comparing these two marginal means for people who are students versus people who are not students. So in order to test that, we're going to look at our SPSS output. So when you're running the analysis in SPSS, you get a whole bunch of output. This is just one of the tables, so make sure you're looking at the correct table in your output. But our table that we want to look at is labeled as the test of between subject effects. Now, if you're working with a different data set, the words that you have here are going to be different. That's because these will represent the different variables in your study that you're looking at here. So in this first hypothesis test, we're testing the main effect of whether you're a student or not. So for that first hypothesis test, we're going to look at this row that's labeled student. So the row that's labeled student here represents our hypothesis test examining that main effect of being a student versus not being a student. So this is the only row that we want to look at in order to interpret our main effect of being a student. So some of the important things to focus on is that using SPSS, we can mainly just focus on this SIG column right here to interpret our hypothesis test. So if you remember from some of my previous lectures, I talked about the fact that the SIG column is just representing your p-value, your probability of getting that difference. So the p-value, we always compare that to whatever alpha level we had established in the beginning, or just the default alpha level, which is 0.05. So anytime your p, or that SIG column, anytime that value is less than your alpha level, so if that's ever less than 0.05, the decision you make is to reject the null hypothesis, which means that there is a significant difference. If instead you had a p-value or that SIG column was bigger than, so a bigger number than your alpha level or bigger than 0.05, then your decision would be to fail to reject the null hypothesis, which means that there is not a significant difference. So in looking at the actual SIG value for the hypothesis test examining the main effect for a student, we see that this number, 0.000, is definitely smaller than any alpha level we could ever take. And so since that value is so small, that 0.000, we would reject our null hypothesis. So that p-value is less than the alpha level of 0.05, so our decision is to reject the null hypothesis here. So the decision is going to be to reject the null hypothesis. And so before we write up the results of the main effect, we actually want to start out our conclusion by discussing what type of analysis we did in the first place. So the way we're actually going to start our conclusion here is we're going to talk about what analysis we did. So the actual analysis we did here was we did a 2x2. So again, remember that those two numbers represent the number of levels in factor 1. Student, we had students versus non. This is the number of levels in factor 2. Job, we had people who had a job versus people who didn't have a job. It was a between subjects design because we had completely different people in each of those groups. And so we say a 2x2 between subjects ANOVA was used to examine the effects related to being a student, or not, and having a job or not on caffeine consumption. So that's an example of how we might start out our conclusion. We want to talk about what kind of analysis was done. So next, the one thing I want to make sure you focus on is remembering what means we're being compared in this first hypothesis test. So our first hypothesis test, again, was examining the main effect of being a student or not. And so the means that we're going to want to report here are going to be these marginal means, because these are the means that were being compared in this first hypothesis test. So we'll make sure to make note of what those marginal means are, and then we're going to include those in our conclusion here. So you'll notice I kept that part that we just went through, that first sentence describing what analysis we did, and then after that I added to it the interpretation of this main effect. So the way we would report these findings is we could say something like this, where the main effect comparing students, and there's the marginal mean for students, to non-students, there's the marginal mean for those non-students, and since we made the decision to reject the null hypothesis, we would say that that difference was significant. After that statement I have a comma, because then we need to report our test statistic that we used to make this decision. So I'm going to switch over our view here to the SPSS output just so I can circle all the different things that we're going to need in order to report our statistics. So we use the F statistic in ANOVA. So we're going to write F, and that's italicized in APA style. And then in the parentheses goes our degrees of freedom. So the degrees of freedom we're going to use is the first one will be on the same row as your variable. So the first one is going to be 1. The second one is always going to be the error, degrees of freedom. So we're going to represent those 2 degrees of freedom by having the first one, comma, space, the second one. So those are our degrees of freedom. And our F value we're going to use is going to be again on that same row of our factor for this hypothesis test. So we're examining the effect of student. There's the F value for that hypothesis test. And so again, we're reporting it rounded to the 2 numbers after the decimal point. So that's our F. And then normally we'll say what our actual p-value was. So in APA style, they would prefer us to say what this actual number is. However, since this actual number that is listed on SPSS is 0.000, that is not our actual probability. Really what our actual probability is, there still is some number here, it's just so small that it isn't represented by these 3 decimal points. So the way that we would represent that is we would say p is less than 0.001. So again, since we don't have a number that we can actually report here, it's going to be smaller than the smallest possible p or alpha level that we could ever take. So we'll write p is less than 0.001 for that p-value. And then also make sure to include, since we rejected the null hypothesis, we said there was a significant effect, we will include our measure of effect size. In this case, it is partial eta squared. Again, I'm rounded to 2 numbers after the decimal point. So partial eta squared is our measure of effect size in ANOVA. I believe you have to ask SPSS for that output. So if you don't have that column, if you don't have that column showing up in your output, then you need to go back and do the analysis again and ask for that output to be given. So that would be the measure of effect size. I believe that's in one of the options that you can ask SPSS for. So I went ahead and added all that information here to our write-up. I only bolded and underlined some of this stuff to help people out who are taking notes for a class. So in your normal APA style write-up, you would not have these bolded and underlined. But the thing I added here was that last part where we had the F statistics and the P and all that. So that is the end of the first hypothesis test. So now we're going to move into our second hypothesis test. So we're actually going to revisit this conclusion after we go through interpreting this second hypothesis test. So we're going to add more to this after we do this next hypothesis test. So the second hypothesis test is going to examine our other main effect that we have to look at here. So the first hypothesis test looked at the main effect of being a student, and the second hypothesis test is going to look at the main effect of having a job on caffeine consumption. So in this hypothesis test, what we're testing is we're comparing people that have a job to people who do not have a job. And again, we're just ignoring that other variable in our study. We're ignoring the student variable for this examination of the main effect. So in our hypotheses that we're testing here, our null hypothesis is going to be that people that have a job, again, we're stating our hypotheses at the population level. Inferential statistics uses samples to infer something about the population. So people who have a job, they consume, on average, an equal amount of caffeine as people who don't have a job. So the null hypothesis is that those two groups are equal, aka they do not differ. Our alternative hypothesis is that people that have a job, they consume a different amount of caffeine, so they're not equal. They consume a different amount of caffeine than people who don't have a job. So those are our two competing hypotheses. In general, we're always just testing the actual null hypothesis to see if there's enough evidence to reject the idea that these two are equal. Let's look back at our means to see which means are actually being compared in this hypothesis test. So just like in the last hypothesis test, we're not actually comparing the means within these cells. Instead, we want to compare the marginal means. And so the marginal means of interest in the second hypothesis test are going to be comparing all of the people that have a job. So all of these people, we want to compare them to all of these people, the people who don't have a job. And so with that, we're going to have marginal means over here. So again, the marginal means are in the margins. They're outside of this table. So this marginal mean represents the mean for all these people combined that said, yes, I have a job. And we can find that in our SPSS output here. This one's a little less obvious to find, but you'll see down here, this is the total. It's basically ignoring whether people are students or not, but it tells you that below this, yes, I have a job, it's the total combining all of the students and non-students. So this is where our mean is for the people who have a job. And then right below it is going to be your marginal mean for people who don't have a job. So that would be for all the people who said, no, I don't have a job, that's their mean. So there's the marginal mean for not having a job. So let's look to our SPSS output here. And much like before in the last hypothesis test, we're going to look for the row that represents job. So we'll look for that variable in our SPSS output. Again, we're going to look at this sig value and compare it to our alpha level. So the same rules apply here. If that is smaller than 0.05, we would reject our null hypothesis. If it's bigger than 0.05, we fail to reject our null hypothesis. So this value of 0.126 is not smaller than any alpha level you would ever use, so it's bigger than 0.05. Since it is bigger than 0.05, that means that we should make this decision to fail to reject the null hypothesis. Anytime we're failing to reject the null hypothesis, that is saying that there is not a significant difference between these two groups. So, looking back at our marginal means, don't forget that those are the two means that we want to be comparing in our actual write-up of the results. So make sure to report the correct means that were being tested here. So those are our marginal means, those are what were being tested. And we failed to reject the null hypothesis. And so to our conclusion, we're going to add this following sentence. So I shortened that beginning part. We're going to add from here after the end of that partial eta squared. We're going to add to this conclusion by saying the main effect comparing people with jobs, there's their marginal mean, to those without jobs, there's their marginal mean, was not significant. In the next video, I'm going to go through what we're going to put here at the end as far as our test statistics go. So that will be included in the next video. So for now, just leave the comma here and we'll leave a space and we'll talk about it in the next video.